In the first part, we will understand how to read and break down the passage into key data points. After that, our mentor will solve the test under strict timer.
Alright, so let's understand how to read this particular passage and how to consolidate key information. So, Sundaram Stores operates in a gated community 30 kilometers from the main town. Store owner, as he was called, okay, competitive bidding process, residents association, willingness to pay the highest rent, agreed to pay a very high rent, prospect of generating exceptional revenue. Review every 3 years. Enthusiastically committed to offering a 15% discount. Delightfully taken aback by his generous assurance. Hope to make up the difference through volume. Sales were strong during the initial months. Primarily made their purchase at large retail stores in the main town. He could not afford to compete with them. Gradually became go-to store for daily essentials and occasional urgent big purchases. So these are the only critical information in this particular passage, and also this one, the 30 kilometers. By default, all quantitative data you should keep in your purview of review. So if I were to summarize what are the key informations that I have determined from this particular passage, everything else is useless. This is the only key information that you have been given. So your stakeholders are Sundaram, Sundaram Stores. This passage is about him. Apart from this, you also had the Residents Association, this entity. So Residents Association. Apart from this, what else do you have as a stakeholder? So these two are very on the nose, but apart from this, you also have the residents of the gated community. So in that sense, this will also become your, one of the stakeholders, SUV owning residents. Now the SUV part, this is something you will understand as you start reading more passages, that the point of telling that they own SUV is not that the SUV part is relevant, but it's just that they are rich and they can afford to go this 30-kilometer away to the main town. So these are your three stakeholders. Now the core objective and root cause. This is slightly tricky, and this is where most people make mistakes. They don't understand what is the root cause and what is the core objective. The idea is simple. For longer passages, in general, for longer passages, these two things change with the question. So the questions will also have some data point given to you, and it will change with those data points. Each question can have different objective, and the root cause for that can be different. So for now, since we have not seen the questions, we can also in some shape or form write the objective and root cause here, which will help you when you go through the questions. So the core objective here is to increase the sales. And why am I saying that? Because his sales has stagnated, as was mentioned in this. Sales were strong during the initial months. So this is the root cause for him. This is one of the core objectives. What are the root causes to attain this objective? Number one is competition. Who is the competition here? The retail chains in the main store. These people are your competition. Why are they your competition? Because they offer deeper discounts which you cannot compete with. So this is your number one root cause that has been identified. After this, what is another root cause that you have? 3-year lease at a high rent. If you come to think of it, he is bounded. He has a 3-year lease for which he has paid higher rent. And the third one is his own stupidity. 15% additional discount. So these are the three root causes because of which he is in a situation where he has to increase his sales. You can replace this or take it along with the profit as well. So he has to increase his sales, he has to increase his profit. So what is the dilemma direction here? A versus B. What is A and what is B? So A here is go to store for daily essentials plus urgent big purchases. What is this against? Bigger discounts. This will give you a good idea of what it is you are dealing with. For example, eh, because he has daily essentials as part of his, a larger chunk of his revenue, do you think he should provide discounts on this? This particular step, is this relevant for this? Not really. Daily essentials is something that people will anyways buy with or without discount. Correct? So with this table, with this synthesization of the passage, you are able to already connect things on how he can improve his sales. For example, one direct recommendation that I can make to you without actually having seen the questions is, because his majority of the sales is this part, he does not have to provide this 15% additional discount, which will directly increase his sales. All right. What is the timeline impact? So this is again something that you will have to understand. There would generally be a short and long term. So the long term is your 3-year lease. All right. And this is bounded. So you can't really do anything about this. And short term will again be dependent on the question, because the questions would probably recommend some actions to attain this core objective, and that would be the short term timeline impact. So if you quickly go through the questions, all right, let us synthesize this passage. Human dynamics, established in 2015. All right, I'll just mark this for now. Leader in behavioral training, okay. Assigned based on expertise, all right. uh, Headed by CEO to whom TAO reports. uh, TO position rotates amongst the senior trainers and CEO assigns TAO. Okay. Companies share their training needs. TAO assigns a trainer. Satisfied client requests for a particular trainer, giving repeat business. So this is important. TAO takes the final call. Years of training. Okay. Senior trainers conduct most training programs. Newly recruited trainers apprentice with them. Senior trainers have the autonomy to decide if they want to accept an apprentice or not. All right. Senior trainer takes most of the sessions and apprentice helps the senior trainer. Occasionally take a few sessions. All right. Apprentice start getting their own independent project, but it takes quite some time. So Dheeraj, a senior trainer, takes over as Tao. CEO shares a concern with him. We have a lot of young trainers who have recently recruited, and they have not been. So we risk losing them rapidly. And why? Unless they are assigned more programs. So this is the crux of this passage. Let us synthesize this into a table. So the stakeholders are your CEO, your TAO, your senior trainers, and your junior trainers. Apart from these, so this is within your company. Apart from this, you also have the clients. Okay, what is the core objective? Again, it can change basis the question, but from the passage, the core objective would be to give more sessions to the junior trainer. So this is the objective that has directly been pointed out to you. However, if you look at this particular passage also, satisfied client requests for a particular trainer, giving repeat business. It means that this whole business depends upon the repeat business part of it. You want repeat customers, which means that the client also, is an important factor in deciding who gets to take the session. So the other core objective will be to maintain client satisfaction. Now, what are the root causes of this? Again, client has a say and they would probably go for the senior trainer with whom they have already worked for. So this is the root cause. I mean, you could have directly given a junior trainer to a client. You can have an equal mix, let's say. But client also has a say. So the decision to give, while it rests with the tau, right, and it rests with the senior trainer on whether they want an apprentice or not, but the client say is equally important. Apart from this, what other thing do you have as a root cause here? So client, asking for a senior trainer would be one of those. You could also have a senior trainer versus junior trainer situation, and this is a very common thing, which lies in the subtext. This is something you will realize can be an issue when you go through the questions. But in hierarchical situations where you have seniors and juniors, this sort of situation is something you should always keep in your mind, that this can always be a root cause. What is the dilemma direction? Quality of the session, which is important for the client satisfaction, versus attrition of junior trainers. And what are the timeline impacts? So we don't really have any data given here for short term or long term. We are not being given that. So that will be something that will depend upon individual questions. However, you can safely say that because this is a repeat business, long term impact is going to be very high of any decision that you take. All right, let's read through third set and synthesize this. Small industrial town of Chinar, largest hospital within 15 kilometer, well regarded for emergency services. For critical surgeries, Shamli, which is 100 kilometers away. The town was still okay. I don't care about this. Several facilities, 24-hour cafeteria, okay. State of the art testing lab, most sought after in Chinar, even when many independent labs have come up. All right. So, other facilities in the surrounding area, pharmacies, food joints, and hotels. All right. And a standalone pharmacy chain. All right. Uh, Significant proportion of its patients are outpatients, and substantial number seeking emergency services. Sole 600 bed hospital plays a crucial role, all right. Uh, Generous funding, okay, not don't care that much about this. Uh, Significant investments have been made, all right. So I'll just mark this, and if I see any question on significant investments, I'll come back. Uh, bring in doctors from other, all right, not that important. Uh, they kept the major renovations on hold due to constant flow of patients. If the renovations are not taken up on an urgent basis now, the operations at the hospital will get obstructed. So, who are the stakeholders here? One is your KC hospital. The other would be your patients, and you can here in the stakeholders directly write what is the proportion of these patients, who are these patients. Outpatients, most of them seeking emergency services. All right, what is the core objective here that you have? You have to urgently do renovations as governed in the last line. Generally, your core objectives would be in the last passage only. So if you are short on time, right, you can quickly read through the last passage only and build some sort of understanding that you can. Here you can write some nice things about Casey if you want. All right. What other core objectives can you have? Right, or rather what other stakeholders can you have? So all these people who have cropped up outside your hospital as a supporting infrastructure, right, your hotels, labs, pharmacies, these all can also be put here as stakeholders. So so a significant portion of your passage was spent on these people, so we should probably keep this. What is the root cause here? uh, so because patient flow was always high, major renovations could not be done because you would have to shut down the hospital. What is the dilemma direction? So, do you shut down the hospital to do the renovation versus, so renovation versus patient continuity, because your hospital will have to be shut down. So, for this renovation, so patient continuity will take a dip. Timeline impact again. So, in the short term, renovation is the priority. In the long term, maintaining, patients is your priority, right? That the reputation that you have built for you, it persists. All right, folks. So let's start with the 2025 PYQ. All right, folks. So let's start with XAT 2025 decision making first quiz. All right, let me quickly glance through the questions. First set is long, second set is also long, third set is also long. So doesn't seem like I have an easy entry, so I might as well just start right away. Let me just first read the question. Which of the following will be the most sustainable way to increase Sundaram's profit? So this is going to be an action choice question. Will best address the concern associated arising. So should impose, should ask. So this is also an action choice. And this one is what should Sundaram best do. So this is also action choice. So action choice are somewhat easier. So I will probably stick to this set. I'll quickly read this. Operates gated community 30 kilometers from the main town. Store owner secured a place through a competitive bidding process. They selected over three other bidders based on his willingness to pay the higher rent. Uh, Agreed to pay a very high rent, banking on the prospect of generating exceptional revenue. Okay, so idea is clear. This guy paid very high rents, in the hope of generating exceptional revenue because it's a gated community. He was awarded the contract, and it is for 3 years. He enthusiastically committed to offering a 15% discount, cementing goodwill. Okay. Association was delightfully taken back by his general assurance. So basically, it means that he didn't really have to give this discount, but he still went ahead with that. Although sales were strong during the initial months, it soon realized the SUV owning residents of the gated community primarily made their purchase at large branded retail chain in the main town. These stores offered deeper discount, which he could not afford to compete with. However, gradually, Sundaram store became their go-to for daily essentials and urgent big purchases. Okay, so we are clear. While reviewing his monthly account, Sundaram realized he was barely breaking even, primarily due to rent he was paying, of course. Sales were stagnant, the rental costs were contractually scheduled. He was determined to do something to increase his profits. So, profit is revenue minus cost. Cost is something which is contractually, solid. So, he can't really do anything about these costs. So, we should probably think about increasing the profit in some shape or form. He should offer to procure items unavailable at his shop from the town on residents' demand. So this is going to increase the cost if you look at it, because the item is not available at the shop, and the town is 30 kilometers away. So does not seem like a good idea. I mean, the approach is good. You want to increase the revenue, but the execution seems poor. He should meet with the residents association to negotiate a lower rent, right? So cost is not what we are looking to decrease, because it's already established that it is a contractual thing, so it is not going to be sustainable, right? They want a sustainable way. He should introduce cheap Wednesdays where he'll sell groceries at 40% discount. Now the idea is that his store has become the go-to store for daily essentials, and groceries would be part of daily essentials. So since it is already go-to, providing a discount for groceries is not going to make any sense. He should advertise about his shop through a leaflet. Again, advertisement is not the issue. They know that he's there. It's just that they are going for the deeper discount at the bigger retail chains. So by default, he seems to be the right answer. He should remove all the discounts he was offering and sell at the maximum retail price. It makes sense because the items are daily essentials, which is something people already have established his store as the go-to. So this would be my answer for this question. I'll move ahead. To increase his profit, diversified into selling vegetables. A vegetable vendor used to visit. The vendor, seeing dismal sales after Sundaram, he stopped visiting. Association does not like that because they're losing the rent. The maintenance staff benefited from receiving vegetables. Okay, this enabled to retain maintenance staff whose attrition rate has increased. Okay, which of the following options will best address the concerns of the residents association arising out of Sundaram getting into selling vegetables? There are two concerns here. One is the primary concern, which is losing the rent, right, because the vendor has moved away, and the other concern is the maintenance staff getting cheaper vegetables. So let's see which option can answer this. The residents association should impose a fine on Sundaram. So this is not a long term solution, because you will get a one time fine, but you are neither getting a consistent rent nor are you getting free vegetables for the maintenance staff. So this is not your answer. Should ask Sundaram to give a specific quantity of vegetables free to the maintenance staff. So again, this is unfair to Sundaram, because this is not something you can expect Sundaram to do, because the other person was already doing this. And also this leaves the primary issue of rent unaddressed. They should discount the rent for the vegetable vendor to increase competition and ask him to continue. So this seems like a good option, because the rent will be discounted, so you will get some portion of the rent, plus the vegetable vendor will be back, which means your maintenance staff getting freebies issue will also be addressed. So this is the best of both worlds. Let's look at other options. Request for bids from various shop owners. Adding another shop owner and not a vegetable vendor will just basically get another Sundaram in the discussion. So not an ideal solution. Should ask Sundaram to use the space for selling vegetables and pay rent for the same. So this will also address the rent part, but not the maintenance staff part. So C is something that addresses both the issues. All right. Happy man now, king of grocery. All right, two more. Okay, there's a startup, Rusham. Let's call it's Blinkit. Grocery within 15 minutes. Okay, it's confined to main towns and it's expanded to suburbs. And Rusham promises delivery within 60 minutes. Okay, not an official slogan. All right, I don't care about this. This is just jargon. Let's go. What should Sundaram best do to ensure that his revenue do not come down due to Rusham? So it's very clear that we are focused on revenue, not the cost, not the profit. We just want to increase our revenue. Sundaram should not bother since the nearest time. This is inaction. Again, you should consider, because the delivery time is still there because of 60 minutes, right? So 60 minutes, but still it is there. Should employ a few helpers who will do home delivery within 10 minutes. So this will increase your cost, but 10 minutes versus 60 minutes will ensure that your revenue is saved. So this is a good option. Demand, that is rent, be reduced. So this is again cost side. We are concerned with revenue. Should start giving discounts on every product he sells. I mean, he's already doing that. The issue is not the discount, the issue is convenience. So this is not your answer. Should explore starting his own deliveries. I mean, this is hyperbolic activity. So, you don't go and get a startup just because you are dealing with a business situation. B seems to be the best way to deal with this. All right, next set. Okay, I have 10 minutes and 6 questions. I can do this. This is a leadership training organization. Okay, gradually becoming leader, blah, blah, blah. Not interested. Human data is headed by CEO, to whom the TO reports. Okay, hierarchy is defined and TO position rotates among senior trainers. All right, CEO decides the position of a senior trainer. Okay, companies share their training needs, assign a trainer to the client. The message says, however, the TO takes the final call of who the trainer is going to be. Okay. So CEO decides TO and senior trainers, and TO decides who the trainer is going to be to a particular client. Big role of satisfaction, years of training. Okay. So this is an experiential thing. More you work with someone, the more inclined they are to work with you. on an ongoing basis. Senior trainers have the autonomy to decide on who they want to accept as an apprentice. All right. During a training program, senior trainers take most of the sessions while the apprentice helps to organize their session and occasionally take a few sessions. All right. Gain experience, they start getting their own independent project, but that typically takes quite some time. So Dheeraj, a senior trainer, takes over as Tao as soon as he assumes the CEO shares a concern. We have a lot of younger trainers who have recently recruited. Since they are not known to the outside world, they do not get enough opportunities. Most of them are impatient to prove. All right, so the idea is simple. There is a CEO who has appointed a Tao, and the Tao has to deal with the issue that the CEO has highlighted, that we have young recruits who are not getting enough opportunities because this is a market where experience is very valued. So let's look at the questions now. Dheeraj knows his senior colleagues are very good at training, and hence they conduct most of the training sessions. They keep the client satisfied. Okay. He need to do something to enable young trainers to get opportunities. Which of the following options should Dheeraj execute to best enable the young trainers to get more training without affecting their relationship with the client company? So the idea is simple. You want to give the youngsters more opportunities while making sure that the client does not, you know, uh, take it in a bad way because they are used to the senior trainers. Should mandate that the senior trainers must allow to take at least 30% of their training sessions. I mean, this right off the bat seems like a good idea because you will get the youngsters to get some sessions which were only happening occasionally, but you will still have the senior trainer for the reputation. Request the repeat client to switch to the services. So directly asking the client to switch, again, it is not going to make any sense. You do need to go about this in a a well balanced way. You should offer the senior trainers as well. So A is a much stronger option than B. Should assign some of the repeat projects from the satisfied clients with particular senior trainers to the young trainers. I mean, both of these options are talking about 100% young trainers. Straight off the bat, no. Should request the CEO to urge in giving up some of their existing client in the interest. So this is, again, all three of these are talking about 100% youngsters, which is not going to be an ideal solution. Should explore for those clients who would be comfortable working with the young trainer. So either A or E, but exploring the clients might tarnish the image because you will have to go via this route where you will have to tell them that explore this young trainers who bring a lot of allergy, and they've already mentioned that the repeat business is successful because they have a good rapport with the senior trainers. So A is the strong answer for this. Moving on, Dheeraj decides to assign repeat clients to their young trainers to address the concerns of CEO. Many young trainers appreciate him for giving the opportunity. Sudha Iyer Senior see that some of her long-standing clients were assigned. She was concerned that the clients would feel shortchanged. This led to the reduction in her number of hours. Sudha was also concerned about her possible revenue loss because mandated number of training hours. Okay, so there is variable pay for Sudha to conduct more hours. She wanted Dheeraj to stop assigning established clients to the young trainers. Which of the following actions would best help Sudha to stop Dheeraj from assigning her program to young trainers? So we have to ensure that Sudha's projects are not assigned to younger trainers. So the key objective, the key problem statement that was mentioned here, the key fact was that the clients are very finicky. They prefer the senior trainers and they continue to do that based on consistent results. So we should approach this from a client angle. Let's look at this. She should propose training the young trains so that they become independent in future. But I mean, the youngsters were appreciative of the opportunity. This is just an alternative to that and not a very good one. So this does not feel like a good option. She should confront the CEO and share that his concerns. Again, this has been already delegated to the Tao, and without even talking to the Tao, which is Dheeraj, she should not go above her Dheeraj's head to the CEO. So this is ethically wrong. She should share with Dheeraj that assigning her client companies to novice trainers will lead to loss of those clients. So this is the first step that you should take. And this is the best approach, right? You inform the person who is responsible for this rooster process of this, client to trainer mapping process, and highlight that you will lose the clients and which is grounded in reality. She should approach the CEO and request that Dheeraj be removed. I mean, this is absurd. You can't get someone fired for this. And you should contact the client companies and ask them again. This is also unethical. You should not include client in internal decisions. So C will be the answer for this. Dhiran assigned a repeat client to Nandini, senior trainer, to Kriti Gowda, a young trainer. Okay. Client company reached out to Nandini off the record and informed that they were unhappy. All right. They shared that Dheeraj, when informed, had claimed that the client would appreciate Kirti with more exposure to her training programs. What best can Nandini do to regain the client for herself without appearing to be against the organization's focus on providing the young trainers more opportunities? So she has to provide a solution which retains the client, but retains the client to her, but also does not go against the company focus. So let's look at the options. Engage in a follow-up conversation and request communicate their concerns to the CEO. I mean, the escalation precedent is there because they've already informed Tao, but this does seem like that you have instigated the client to go about against the organization's focus. So A should not be the answer. Share the client's feedback with Kriti and ask her to opt out. I mean, you should not put this pressure on a youngster who is currently training under you. Tell the client that to ensure quality, they must demand her exclusively. Again, you should not tell the client anything. Arrange a meeting with Dheeraj, informing him that she is aware of the situation and Dheeraj's action may lose the client for human dynamics. This is a good option to have. Let's look at the other option. Propose to Dheeraj that in future assignments with the client, Kirti be a co-trainer with Nandini to help improve her performance. Between these two, this feels like a supportive way of handling things. You are saying that give the client back to me and keep Kirti as a co-trainer so she can also learn from me. So this is a win-win. D is also an acceptable option, but E is a better one. So we are short on time. Let's see. I might again have to probably go back to my original plan. I'll just read the question and not read the passage right now. Needs to be better prepared. Chance happens this hospital decides to invest immediately in improving their infrastructure. However, this would mean that temporarily it would either shut the operations of few departments, reduce the outpatient capacity to half, shut down the cafeteria, ask their administrative staff to work remotely, strip the pharmacy down to emergency and critical, shut down the medical lab, and arrange medical tests from a local lab. So let's see. We will have to read something. I'm probably going to skip the first one because there's going to be too much, context there. Uh, 50 years ago, a state-of-the-art testing lab, most sought after. Even today, many independent labs have come up. Okay, there are many other labs. Interesting. Surroundings, food joints, pharmacies. Okay, standalone pharmacy chain has gained a strong. All right. Can't care significant portion are outpatient, 600 beds. Okay. Uh, Two major corporations operating locally. All right, ठीक है. So it's clear reducing the outpatient capacity to half is not going to work because they are majority of our clients. So A should not be part of this answer because we want the least affected. So A, D, and E is going to be cancelled. We have to choose between B, C, D, and B, C. So we have to choose between D and D. Strip the pharmacy operations down to emergency and critical medications, shut down the medical lab and arrange medical tests from a local lab. Now there are pharmacy chains, there are independent pharmacy chain, there are multiple other pharmacies also, whereas their local lab, their lab, Kind Care's lab was a state of the art. So E would have a worse effect than D. So my answer will be B, C, T for this. Moving on. Need to maintain a large inventory. The renovation team suggests that the storage unit be shut down for 7 days for urgent renovation. Hospital building being old, the past renovation work is stretched beyond estimated. Which of the following actions ensure that Kind Care operates efficiently during the renovation of storage period? Rent a large space about 1 hour away? No, makes no sense. Shut down the hospital until further notice. So shutting down the entire hospital does not make sense. Renovate the storage and unit part by part while halving the capacity of the emergency services. You also have to take care of the ICU services. So C does not seem to be the answer. Start building a new storage facility. Absurd. It will take some time. Shut down the cafeteria until further notice. This is the answer because you have other food joints around. So we have run out of time. So we are left with one more. All right. So all eight were correct. We were left with one question. So Anurag, Diagag, all right. So let's go back. Let's go back to the question that we have missed, which would be the ninth one. We could not see it at all. Kind Care Hospital has to renovate its storage unit. The renovation is supposed to take 7 days. As the work starts, the team entrusts with the work realizes that the work will take more than 15 days. Kind Care feels that even this revised estimate is modest. Already the outpatient services are affected and people are being turned away. Stretching it further will attract a strong public resentment. Which of the following actions offer the most sustainable solution to reduce the number of patients being turned away? Alright, let's look at the options. Arrange with a large hospital in Shamli to take over their critical patients. So it's the largest hospital within a 50-kilometer radius, right? So arranging in a larger hospital will not make sense. Anyways, you are talking about the critical patients here, whereas the core problem is that the outpatient services are affected. So does not seem like the best option here, but still feasible. Let's look at it. Less practical because the hospital is in another town. Stop the renovation work immediately and resume normal operations. I mean, this is impractical because the renovation work has already started and the renovation is important. So stopping it midway does not seem like a practical thing to do. B is not my answer. Resume some operations from rented spaces scattered across the region. So again, because it is scattered, your operations as a hospital will be compromised. Same issue as A, basically. Everything should be in one place. So C is not your answer. Start reduced operations gradually and hire a team of experts to find ways to expedite the renovations. Again, it is already mentioned, stretching it further will attract a strong public resentment. So we want to immediately solve this. E option, bring in a reputed renovation team at triple the cost, which guarantees to finish this work in 3 days. So this is the answer, and I'm guessing a lot of you would not have picked this because the triple the cost must have been throwing you off. In this entire passage, in this entire thing, has it ever been said that Kind Care Hospital is concerned with the profits, with the costs? And this is a good mental note for you as well, that in situations where safety is concerned, cost is, very often deprioritized by quite a big margin. So the answer for this question will be E.
If you want to do this in a structured manner, you should go to our website, link in description, and enroll to get access to past year XAT questions in quiz format.